Hi, I'm Erin with Aves, makers of fine clays and maches. Today I want to share with you a new portion of our website. We have started to carry tools and supplies. Some of those fantastic products include knead-a-mold, some clay scoops, a very large silicone clay mat, and mixing gloves, but they are also wonderful for sculpting. They're my personal favorite. And so I wanted to share these with you one by one. We'll kind of go through them and I'll show you how to incorporate them all kind of with each other. So I'm going to tip the camera down and we'll get started. So knead-a-mold is very similar to epoxy sculpt in the sense that there is a part A and there is a part B product. The colors are very easy to distinguish, therefore it is also very easy to mix and to use. For this, I'm going to use our Sensicare Nitrile gloves. These are 3 to 4 millimeters in thickness. They do not snap and break like a lot of gloves out there. And they have these really cool tips on them that are really fantastic for sculpting. This is a size small on my hand, but I'll show you a medium just so you can see the same hand in 2 different pairs of gloves. I used to use the mediums all the time just for mixing stuff and I really liked them, but then I got turned on to the small ones because I was able to sculpt with them. And I particularly love to be able to do that. So for today, I will just stick with the smalls. So to use knead-a-mold, we are going to just make a basic stamping. You're going to take your part B and your part A. Maybe I mix them up because they're kind of backwards here. And you're going to use them just like Aves clay, where you have 2 portions, try to keep them separate, and you're going to mix and knead them together, hence knead-a-mold. This is a silicone type material. It does take heat up to 600 degrees, so it works really great for everything from clays to cast over glass, to make impressions on just about anything you can put in front of it. A couple of tips that I have learned is to really mix it well, and obviously I have some in there. We don't want that in there. We'll take that out and put these aside. Some of the things that I have learned with this product is that you have to mix for, I don't know, probably about a minute. I'm kind of used to using epoxy sculpt myself, so when I use epoxy sculpt, I'm used to mixing and kneading for like about 2 minutes. So I probably overmix this stuff, but it always sets up, it always cures. It's very safe. I just don't like all the grease and stuff on my hands, so and that goes away as soon as it cures. So we're just going to take a basic top here. This is glass, and I'm going to cast just this center piece off of here. I think this is ready to go. It says all it needs to do is blend the colors, which I think we have successfully done. I'm just going to make a ball of it. I'm going to show you how easy this is to use. So here's my glass piece. I'm just going to gently place this on here. And that's that. And I can see underneath that there are no air bubbles, which makes this successful in my opinion. So that's it. I'm just going to leave it, and when it's all done, probably by the end of this video, I'll peel it up, but I'm going to move on to the next portion. Here is what it looks like when it came off cured. The other neat thing that I like about this knead-a-mold is that you can actually cut it afterwards, just about any shape that you want, which is kind of helpful when you're casting things and you don't want the extra lip on the edge of it. So we're going to leave this piece over here, and I'm going to show you now with the Aves clay scoops that we have. These are very nice because they are solid stainless steel. It's one solid piece in here, so it's not going to break off if you really get digging into your clay. They wash up really fantastic with just soap and water. They have these designated silicone tags to determine parts A and B and to help you keep them separate. So we're just going to use the epoxy sculpt black today, and I'm going to make an impression in here to show you how easy that is to use. So I have my B. We don't need very much of it, and I have my A. I really like the scoops because otherwise, as you just saw what I did with the knead-a-mold, I tend to kind of stick my hands in the same containers. And one of the things with Aves epoxy products is that you want to keep the components separate at all times. So that's been really, really helpful. Okay, so we're gonna mix and knead this together for 2 minutes, or until thoroughly combined. And one of the other tricks that I like to use for mixing Aves clay products in my hand, which always tells me that it's thoroughly mixed and ready to go, is I will feel a lot of heat coming from the product, and that means that it is being activated. Creating friction is a wonderful thing on this. And as you can see, I am using this all over our Aves clay mats. These are really nice and thick. They are extra, extra large, about 2 foot by 2 foot, something like that. But they really keep everything nice and clean. Things do not stick to this. What does not stick to this mat? Our clay. I really like that. I can put it down, I can peel it up. Any residue that's left over or behind, I've used glitter on this, I've used alcohol inks, I've used mica powders, I've used rub and buff, I've used patina paints, acrylic paints, oil paints, our paste products, you name it, knead-a-mold, everything just peels up so nicely. I can leave my epoxy sculpt sitting on this to cure overnight if I like, and when I come in the morning I can just peel it right off and nothing sticks. And again, also washes up super fantastic with just soap and water. I like my tools sitting on it. Any beads or other findings that I'm using don't tend to roll around, which I like. I can put a rolling pin on it, it doesn't go very far, which is nice. My tools stay put, so that's very helpful. Okay, I think that this is ready to go. Now, I don't have to use a release agent with knead-a-mold because this is, like I said, a silicone type mold. And anything with epoxy sculpt, if it is flexible, you don't really have to use a release agent. And so, but what I want to do is I want to press this in here and I'm going to pull it out. And when I press and pull, I like to use a release agent. And I'm just really simple about this. I just went to my kitchen cabinet and I pulled out some coconut oil. And I like coconut oil because it doesn't really have a color to it. And I just literally spritz it and that's it. You could use canola oil or olive oil. I personally like the spray can because it's really easy. But again, you don't have to use a release agent with knead-a-mold. This is just because I'm pressing it and I want to be able to pull it out to show you the end result. And so now I'm going to just peel that back. And there you have it. Easy knead-a-mold with epoxy sculpt. We have a nice casting piece. Some other things that I've done with knead-a-mold, I just casted some tree bark outside. So I put knead-a-mold on a tree. I did the best I could brushing the surface off before I applied the knead-a-mold. So make sure you have clean, debris-free surface, just like with epoxy sculpt. And I pushed the epoxy sculpt in and I pulled it out and it really made a very nice tree bark mold. Some of the other molds that I've made with knead-a-mold, I have casted furniture pieces. This was a foot off of a piece of furniture. I have casted some leaves off of some other pieces of furniture. I have done picture frames. I have done very large projects. This was just a wooden cross I've used for so many things. I have done leaves out in nature. I've done some plastic, I don't know, this is some plastic piece. I really like the pattern on it and I've used it a whole bunch for plant potters. This is another fun thing that I found these really thin whiffy stencils online and I really liked them and I thought that they would work with Aves clay. And they would if I really wanted to press them in, but I had too many fingerprints. So this is like super duper paper thin. So I took the knead-a-mold, I put this down, and I took the knead-a-mold and I let it kind of just sit there, and I pressed it in. And now I have a really nice, much deeper mold that I can use to make impressions versus the stamp. And I did the same thing with this spidery one here too. So as you can see, it makes a lot of really great molds that all work fantastic with Aves epoxy sculpt or our epoxy clay or our paste or anything that we make. Our maches are really great in there too. So now that you have an idea of the tools and supplies that we have, you can go to www.avesstudio.com, shop our tools and supplies. I hope you enjoyed this video.